For 11 days, he lay on the same sidewalk outside a convenience store. People walked past. A few stopped, looked, and kept going. Nobody picked him up. His eyes were swollen shut. His fur was matted against bones that showed too clearly. He had almost nothing left. On the 12th morning, a woman on her way to the bus stop finally crouched down beside him. He turned his head toward her and made a sound so small she almost missed it. This is Rusty, and that sound changed everything. He was lying on the same stretch of sidewalk outside a convenience store for 11 days straight. People stepped around him. Some stopped for a second, looked, and kept walking. A few took photos. Nobody picked him up. His name came later, but the story started there, on a square of cracked concrete in a neighborhood where stray cats were common enough that most people had learned not to look too closely. His eyes were swollen shut. His fur, which had once been a deep orange and white, was matted and dull, pressed flat against bones that showed too clearly when the light hit him right. He had stopped moving much. He would shift position occasionally, slowly, like even that cost something he didn't have left to spend. 11 days, different people walking past, same result every time. Until the morning Rachel walked past. Rachel was 38, a middle school art teacher who took the same route to the bus stop every single day and had walked past that corner dozens of times before. She had a cat at home already, a 7-year-old tabby named Fig, who had claimed the couch and showed no interest in sharing it. She was running late. She had told herself more than once over the years that she couldn't save every animal she saw, and that the responsible thing was to keep moving. She stopped anyway. She crouched down beside him on the sidewalk. He didn't flinch, he didn't move away. He just turned his head very slightly in her direction, eyes still sealed shut, and made a sound so quiet she almost missed it. Not a meow, smaller than that, something that sounded less like a call for help and more like an acknowledgement that someone had finally come. Rachel missed her bus. She wrapped him in her jacket, her good jacket, the one she wore for parent-teacher conferences, and carried him 4 blocks to the nearest veterinary clinic. The veterinarian who examined him was quiet for a long moment before she spoke. Severe upper respiratory infection, corneal ulcers in both eyes, significant malnourishment, dehydration, estimated age around 3 years, which meant he had likely been on his own for most of his life. He's been fighting for a while, the vet said. Whatever he has left, he's been spending it on just staying alive. Rachel asked what his chances were. The vet said honest things carefully. It would depend on how his eyes responded to treatment. It would depend on whether his body could handle the antibiotics. It would take weeks, maybe longer. There were no guarantees. Rachel said she understood. She said she would cover the costs. She named him Rusty on the walk home, not because it was a remarkable name, but because it was the first word that came to her when she looked at the color of his fur in the afternoon light, that particular shade of worn orange, like something old and valuable that had been left out in the weather for too long and was somehow still beautiful because of it. Here's something that changes how you see a cat like Rusty. Upper respiratory infections are the leading cause of death for stray cats. Without treatment, what starts as watery eyes and congestion progresses until a cat simply can't eat or breathe adequately. Rusty had been in that final stage for days. The fact that he was still alive when Rachel found him is something the vet described simply as remarkable willpower for such a small animal. If you're still here and haven't subscribed yet, that genuinely means something to me. Hit the button. This story is just getting started. The first 2 weeks were the hardest. Rusty lived in a quiet room Rachel set up with a soft bed, a low food dish, and a nightlight because she had read somewhere that cats with eye issues felt safer with a small amount of light. He ate slowly at first, suspicious of the bowl, pausing between bites like he expected it to be taken away. He didn't purr for 9 days. On the 10th day, Rachel was sitting beside his bed reading, not making any particular effort to interact with him, just being present the way the vet had suggested. Rusty walked over, slowly, still unsteady, and sat down against her leg. She felt it before she heard it, a low vibration, hesitant at first, like a motor trying to turn over after a long time idle, then steadier, then continuous. Rachel set down her book and didn't move for a very long time. The weeks that followed built something Rachel hadn't expected to feel so quickly. Rusty learned the apartment in stages. First the room, then the hallway, then the kitchen, then finally the living room where he discovered the couch and decided it was acceptable. He began greeting her at the door, not dramatically, not with the full-body enthusiasm of a dog, but consistently, always there, always watching, always moving closer once she sat down. His eyes improved slowly. The left one healed almost completely. The right retained some cloudiness that the vet said would likely be permanent. It gave him a particular expression, slightly asymmetrical, that Rachel came to think of as his look, like he was always seeing two things at once and considering both carefully. He also developed what Rachel could only describe as a checking system. Several times throughout the day, wherever she was in the apartment, Rusty would appear, make brief eye contact, and then settle somewhere nearby. Not always touching, just within range, just making sure. He does a perimeter check, Rachel told a friend, every few hours, makes sure everything is still okay. Her friend said that sounded exhausting. Rachel said it felt like the opposite. Rusty is 1 year and 4 months out from that sidewalk now. His fur grew back fully, the same deep orange, but softer now, no longer pressed flat against visible bones. He weighs 9 pounds. He sleeps on the left side of Rachel's bed and has strong opinions about where the blanket should be positioned. Fig, the tabby, has accepted the arrangement with the reserved tolerance of someone who disapproves but has decided not to make it an ongoing issue. He still does the perimeter checks. He still appears in doorways to confirm that things are as they should be. And every evening without fail, he walks to wherever Rachel is sitting and presses the top of his head against her hand, just once, gently, before settling beside her. Rachel still thinks about those 11 days, the people who walked past, the photos taken and forgotten, the small sound he made when she finally crouched down beside him on the concrete, that quiet, almost private sound that felt less like asking for help and more like recognizing that help had finally arrived. Some animals wait a very long time to be seen. They don't give up. They just keep spending whatever they have left on one more day, and then one more, until the right person finally stops. Rusty spent 11 days on that sidewalk. He had enough left for one more morning. That was all he needed. If you passed an animal like Rusty on the street, would you stop? Or would you keep walking? Tell me in the comments.